Lyra, them picking the Grace. So Lyra is still open for them. They could pick it. The Batiste ban does come through. That's very standard. Once Catherine has been picked up, you don't want to go up against that duo. It's too dangerous.
Yeah, it certainly is. You never want to go into that CC lockdown that comes out from those AoE ultimates in that combination, but it's going to be the Kestrel locked in here. I'd assume for Techno JJ, but we have seen the odd CP Kestrel every now and then going into the jungle, but honestly, Weapon Battle Kestrel, one of the best carries in the game.
I do prefer this pick over the Scarf into the Petal in general, and not only into the Petal, but also in general, just because it's a lot more reliable. Weapon Power carries have been a lot more reliable than the mages for a few updates now, and that's due to how easy to output your damage in comparison to landing so many skill shots. On top of that, Weapon Power seems to be doing a lot better in 2.9 anyway.
And not only that, but you have that range from the Glimmer shots to try and put pressure onto this Petal, who you know is going to get that increased range as the game goes on. Has one of the longest attack ranges in the game, so you need something that can try and compete with that. Kestrel is one of those options. So now SK, again, when you look at what they have available, there's so much that can come out, because they could still flex that Petal into the jungle if they really wanted to. I don't think it's going to happen, but they go ahead and grab themselves the Lance to go along with the Petal, and now you got to figure maybe something that's going to be one of these bruiser type of CP junglers coming out for Tyrus.
Yeah, that's very surprising that they pick up the Lance over the Lyra. Perhaps it's something that they want to do just to keep Catherine away from their carries. When she tries to goes in with Merciless Pursuit, you can Kithian wall her away and even stun her, possibly.
It's also a comfort pick for Hegman, right? We've seen him play a lot of Lance over the weeks. We've seen him have a lot of success on that Lance as well. His double Githian walls and things like that. Reza going to be the jungle pickup here for SK Gaming, so Petal will be going into
I mean, if it ain't broken, don't change it, right? The same composition as the first game. They won with it. They did very good. It seemed they had a clear idea of how to execute, with the exception of that one team fight, so SK looking good.
Yeah, I mean, they did change it a little bit. They took the Lance instead of the Grace, so we'll see if not having that big heal could be a factor. I really like the Grace going in with the Reza, but now with the Koshka instead, Fnatic, they really have a chance to try and abuse this Reza, which they didn't do last game.
We saw Fnatic use this Koshka last weekend in their quarterfinal, or it might have been even the week before, but they were playing much more aggressive. They were really making moves with this Koshka. Are we going to see this aggressive Fnatic again? Is that what we have to see here?
I hope to see. That is what we have to see, because going up against the Petal, that's a very strong late game hero as well. And with the Kestrel, you have the tools to pressure multiple points. They need to coordinate their aggression if they do go for it. Pushing the lane with the Kestrel as well as pushing the jungle with the Koshka means they can't get out-rotated and they can't get a team fight that they don't have a numbers advantage in. A Petal rotating and helping the Reza could be a threat.
You also have to be aggressive with a Koshka, because if you are not aggressive with Koshka, she's not going to have an impact in the late game. But I love the Koshka paired with the Catherine, actually, because now you have the Blast Tremors coming out. If you silence target, they can't reflex block the Yummy Cat and Frenzy. If they block the Blast Tremor, you get an Echo. Second one comes through. If that's blocked, you're out of reflex blocks anyway. So it's really kind of putting a lot of pressure onto Palmotoro to be able to use these abilities effectively to try and lock down a target, most likely going to be the Petal.
Absolutely. Very excited for this lane matchup as well. Petal going up against the Kestrel here. How are we feeling this one's going to go? Because these are our two players to watch, remember.
I mean, it can go either way, especially if Petal positions herself behind the minions, so it's on the players how they play it.
All right, so definitely a skill matchup. We'll see who can best their opponent. Hashtag Vainglory8. Let us know who you think is going to be taking that lane matchup and whether you think SK can finish off this series 2-0. It's time to pass it back to Medic and Denominate and get into game 2.
Thank you very much, Munch. I am Medic. I'm joined by Denominate, and we are here for the second game of this series. SK just one game away from going through the matches tomorrow. Once again, Fnatic still trying to play spoiler, trying to do something against some of their former teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely going to be quite a bit of rivalry there as well. So we'll have to see, again, SK is up a single game, but it's not over. This is a best of 3. And despite Fnatic losing out on that last game, they actually had a really good performance when I think SK had the better composition through that mid-game where they really started to push. And, Scarf did make it to his 4-item build, but was never really able to find damage consistently onto a single target. It was always hitting multiple enemies, as now there is a little bit of a tussle here over the Elder Treant. Obviously, this Koshka hitting level 2 with 2 crystal bits has a lot of damage spike potential as well as a lot of chase, and I think that's just going to be a free Treant going over to Fnatic, and that one's going to go on to Techno JJ, making sure that he has health and energy when he comes up to the lane here to get his farm.
Eggman is here just to try and contest anything happening in the lane. The Impale doesn't hit, but Kvalifar's okay, just farming up as much as he can. Something that Kvalify has traditionally done incredibly well is keep those CS numbers nice and high. And I think in the last game it was about 210 at the 20-minute mark, which is pretty devastating when you're playing against something like a Petal that needs to scale up and needs to get that gold for the items as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and that's one of the benefits of the lane. There is a substantial amount of gold in the lane, but there is slightly more experience in the jungle, which is why it's key for certain heroes to be jungle picks and certain heroes to be lane picks. Obviously, the heroes that capitalize the most off of their level advantage can excel very well in the jungle. For quite some time, we saw the Celeste in the jungle, specifically because she'd hit that level 8 mark sooner. She'd be able to get the extended range on the Heliogenesis. And now it's Palmatoro getting some good damage down onto Hegman, but not the squishiest of targets, so he's going to be able to make it out alive. And Fnatic now, they're going to go ahead and get themselves a second Treant, as Techno JJ doing a great job trying to use his advantage early and push up the lane.
Kvalifar's going to jump onto Techno here with the Impale landing, but Kvalifar takes the bad side of that trade. Active camo use from Techno, just needs one more auto and a glimmer. Can't quite get it out. Kvalifar will be able to get back behind the turret. Palmatoro's like, excuse me, I'm not going to let you get away. And he even just dives straight onto Hegman and takes him out. It's a great first blood for Fnatic, and they can look to push this wave into the turret as well. Even get some damage down onto this turret incredibly early on. Net2Elect is looking for Kvalifar, does get him in with the trampoline. It's another kill for Fnatic. Great play by them. They're going to get a turret at 3 minutes in. Tyrus trying to do what he can, but he's in a 1v3 situation. Net2Elect running off towards the side here as Tyrus chases him down. He will get the counter kill. Palmatoro perhaps a little bit overextended as SK try and turn this early game around in their favor. But 2 members of Fnatic get out, and they get out with a 1,500 gold lead.
And Fnatic, they did lose out on Net2Elect, but if you're going to lose out on anybody, the captain is the one you want to do so on. Tyrus does come in and get that 1 kill, as well as gets a little bit of jungle as well, now looking for a Elder Treant of his own. But, that was one of the important things is Techno JJ did get Kvalifar very, very low on health in the lane. He didn't have to secure the kill. He just had to make it risky enough for Kvalifar to try to defend, and that's exactly what happened. Palmatoro went in, found the kill quickly onto Hegman. This Koshka does so much damage in the early game. And then, because Kvalifar stuck around, he tried to use his range to farm up the wave from behind the turret. It was only a matter of time before Net2Elect popped that Merciless Pursuit, chased him down. Once the stun was out, popped that Storm Guard, and got that ticking damage and a basic attack down. They found 2 and that turret. And getting the first objective down in under 4 minutes is huge for what Fnatic has going on for them.
Oh, definitely. We said that they need to have this early game. They need to get rolling, especially Palmatoro on this Koshka, who's done a lot of work. Even looking for the flank here. Jumps onto Kvalifar, who trampolines away, but Palmatoro's so low. The fountain isn't enough to heal him up, and now the Netherform detonation onto Net2Elect. He's going to be sacrificed. Techno JJ, the only member of Fnatic to escape, and a great turnaround by SK.
Yeah, SK found a open window there, and they jumped right on through it, finding quick damage onto Palmatoro and put him in the grave. And now, with Techno JJ all alone here in the lane against a composition that has a lot of dive and lockdown potential, he just kind of has to watch as SK take his turret in return. And just like that, SK even everything up. Objective advantage gone, and that gold lead that Fnatic just had, seconds ago, is already evened up.
I love the pace of this game compared to the last one as well. Last time it was 18 minutes before we saw a turret go down. Now we've got 2 within the first 5 and a kill a minute as well. Both these teams coming out fighting, coming out swinging early on in this matchup. Aftershock has just been completed on Tyrus. He'll want to use that as effectively as possible. Palmatoro not quite there yet. He's got the Eclipse Prism and the Heavy Prism, though, sitting in his inventory.
Yeah, Palmatoro might even be going for a Shatter Glass first, thanks to the changes on health and defense. Petal, a very, very squishy target, actually, to the amount of burst that Akashka can put out. And thanks to her CP ratios, I think into a Petal who you want to dive on and get multiple empowered attacks down on, it is probably more favorable to go with the Shatter Glass over the Aftershock. Now, the one benefit you do lose out on is the Aftershock gives you a little bit of cooldown regeneration, as well as energy regeneration. So definitely has its use as well. And at level 7, Palmatoro does have that Yummy Catnip Frenzy ready to go, and it's going to be interesting to see what target he ends up going for, as Tyra's sneaky little Reza there comes in, steals that farm away that Palmatoro was trying to take out of his own jungle. And now it's going to be Fnatic looking for another fight. They have to capitalize as early as they can with this Kashka. A reflex block is already out on Tyra's and Cavalifar, so it's going to make timing that ability all the more needed. They could even chain it up with a Merciless Pursuit, try to bait out that reflex block so that we can get the longer duration stun that is that Yummy Catnip Frenzy at 2.2 seconds. And if you get locked up by a Kashka ult, you're pretty much dead to rights.
Especially when you've got something like a Kestrel there to chase it in as well. Hegman gets a bit of poke onto Net Toilette, but the teams have evened out the score pretty much here. It's about 500 gold lead for Fnatic, but we saw them have a little gold lead in the last game as well, and they weren't able to utilize it too effectively between about the 10 and the 15-minute mark. SK coming out at the end of that game with the lead. Tyrant's Monocle now finished onto Techno JJ. He's at 2 items, one shot, 1 kill, will not hit Hegman. Looking for a bit of poke, perhaps setting up a gold miner play there, but unable to connect onto the Lance, who is quite slippery even before level 6.
Yeah, Lance definitely has a lot of opportunity to make it over walls. He can use that Impale or the Combat Roll when he hits level 6, as well as the Petal with the Trampoline and the Reza with the Troublemaker and or Nether Form Detonator, just depending on the situation. All of these heroes are very good at escaping when they're in a kind of tough cornered situation. But now as Tyra has hit level 8, he has that Troublemaker overdriven, and here we go, Hegman's taking a lot.
Jumping in, Tyrus does get stunned up with the active camo though, and Fnatic able to turn away from Hegman, who went for the engage originally. Palmatode dodging around the side, looking to see if he can jump in onto one of the members of SK. Still reflex blocks available for all 3 of them, so needs something first before he can actually engage with the Yummy Catnip Frenzy. Good Impale comes out, good Githian Wall as well, but the Fountain is used. Netherform Detonator, the jump in from Tyrus, that's a counter Fountain from SK. They're going to try and turn this one back around as Fnatic look for the glimmers across the wall. They can't quite connect, and Matoro does still have the Yummy Catnip Frenzy, but still only reflex block used on Hegman. SK keeping their defenses up, keeping their safety in those reflex blocks.
Yeah, Palmator did end up going for the Aftershock first. Again, it can be nice with the cooldown as well as the burst damage. In this patch, I'm a little concerned on it into the squishy targets, where as a Kashka, you're going to want to continuously keep the burst up. We'll have to see if he's able to utilize that ability properly, or the item properly, as now they're starting up the gold mine, and they should be able to take it uncontested here. Hegman might be able to make a miracle steal. He's coming in.
Doesn't quite get it, but they're looking for Net to let a good Impale. There comes the healing fast. Jump in by Tyrus. He might go down, but the Netherform Detonator is going to land him straight on the Scout Trap. Taken out by the Yummy Catnip Frenzy. Cavalifar here in time to trade it in a 1-for-1. Great Githian Wall onto Techno JJ. Cavalifar will get a double here. 2 kills go to SK, and they'll take away a Treant as well. They did lose the gold mine. Hegman trying to chase here. Net Toilette with a good back positioning. Then realizes he's been spotted out by those Munions, and now needs to try and get away from SK. The Crystal Sentry helping him out quite a lot. And SK will realize they cannot take this 2v2 with the Crystal Sentry helping out. There's so much damage. Eventually falls. SK get out with their lives.
Yeah, that Sentry does do a lot of work in the early game, and I actually would have liked to see Net Toilette come in a little bit sooner. He had energy for Merciless Pursuit and for that Storm Guard, but instead he used a lot of time running around trying to get out safely when he was actually quite healthy. That could have been an opportunity for them, maybe not to get a kill with the Crystal Sentry, but if they could have got a little bit more damage down with Techno JJ and Palmator coming back alive, they could have taken that opportunity where the enemies were on low health and they were stopping recalls to pick up some extra kills and possibly get another advantage as well that, could push a jungle rotation off the back of it, could push up in the lane. Obviously, this Kestrel with 3 offensive items can obliterate turrets, and Techno JJ's build's not done either. He'll likely go into a Tornado Trigger or a Bonesaw for a 4th offensive item, and then we'll rely on just either a Metal Jacket or a Aegis for his defense, and into a Lance. I'm going to have to lean towards the Aegis.
I totally agree with you. I think the Aegis makes a lot more sense. Speaking of Hegman, he has now got the Crucible and the Fountain picked up, so we'll try and protect his team from those Blast Tremors, from those Yummy Catnip Frenzies if they do come in. Basically reflex blocks across the board for SK. Good early pickup playing into this Fnatic lineup that we said needed to snowball, needed to get that early advantage. They have a little bit of one. It's 1,000 gold, but is that substantial enough? Is that enough to deal with this weapon power petal, to deal with Tyrus, who has been so effective on this Reza as well? Once again, he's gone Broken Myth, second item on Reza, looking for that penetration of the shield of Fnatic.
Yeah, and we might have a little bit of a gold lead for the side of Fnatic, but if we look at the kills, the fights have not been going that way. Fnatic has been able to find jungle camps as well as that gold mine as well, and that's their only gold lead at this point. It's been constantly SK winning out on these fights, and they're looking for another one.
Stunned out of Impale, good getting wall from Hegman, but he's already dead. The crit's coming out from Techno JJ. Net Blast comes back. There's the Yummy Cabinet Frenzy. Lands onto Tyrus. It's a double for Techno JJ, and Cavalifar is 1v2, but he's got so much damage. He's got so many crits. Palmato jumping in, jumping out, trying to dodge around the active camo. And Techno JJ getting him closer to Cavalifar, but not quite close enough to make the snipe. Palmato trying to kill Cavalifar, can't do it once again, and Cavalifar somehow survives in this backline. Techno JJ is going to try and clear out the turret with those glimmers, but Cavalifar should be able to keep it alive for the time being.
But he got a lot of damage down and actually almost killed Cavalifar with the push through on that ability. And now Techno JJ might go down here.
Yeah, active camo almost takes out Cavalifar. That's sub 10 HP, but Cavalifar somehow survives at the end of it. And again, in the end, the fight goes in favor of SK. They get a 3-for-2 in that extended trade.
Yeah, 3-for-2, but again, Techno JJ did get a lot of damage down on that turret, and losing out on a life, you will respawn. That turret will not. So it's easily within the pushing power of Fnatic now that they could, if they get any opportunity where the minions are pushed up, 1 or 2 glimmer shots may be able to go ahead and take that one down. And with that amount of time, if all 3 members of SK aren't in the lane trying to defend that turret, they likely would not be able to actually get kills off the back of it either. So it's going to depend on the positioning of Tyraz and Hegman, who have done a great job in the fights. However, Tyraz did miss the Yummy Cat and Frenzy block in that last fight, which cost him his life. If they would have blocked up that ability, it likely would have been different. It likely would have been SK taking the whole fight with only the casualty on the Hegman.
Let's quickly evaluate where we are with builds here as well. Denominate. Actually, Tyrus does get jumped on by Palmato, but dodges out. Yummy Cabinet Frenzy is still available. We'll wait for this fight to continue. The Crucible blocked out by the Blast Tremor. Palmato killed by Cavalifar, and now Net is running for the wins. Just about escapes, but Techno JJ cannot get away from Tyrus. They're looking for the dive. That's another kill. SK on the chase, looking for a clean ace. They get it, and SK once again show why they're #1 in Europe.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, you line him up and SK takes them down. That was beautiful timing out of Tyraz there. Cavalifar was exchanging quite a bit of poke with Techno JJ, and it was kind of an even trade. You know, it was Cavalifar hitting a couple 400 damage hits with his basic attacks, but Techno JJ was able to return a 600 damage on his Glimmer Shot, and then as Techno JJ got low, Tyraz took the opportunity and used the Troublemaker to get into position, dropped the Netherform Detonator, was able to get 1, and then it was a matter of time. They were able to chase down Palmatoro and eventually Netwillet. And it is another fight going over to SK as they lead 11-5 and have now worked the gold lead back into their favor. They took a gold mine. They took down the second turret as well. And Fnatic is looking like maybe like they're playing a little bit on the back foot, as Techno JJ now working into that Bone Saw is going to be able to work through Tyra's armor, but that's a lot of armor already prioritized from Tyra's. He's able to get into these fights very safely, and Netwillet is not really having the effect we hope out of a Catherine, because Hegman has done such a good job blocking up that Blast Tremor. And now it looks like we might be looking for another fight here as SK up here in the lane. Here we go, Medic.
Hangman jumps in, double Gideon Wall, double stun comes out, using the Echo as well, but already he's dead. Didn't even have time to use Fountain or Crucible. Now Fnatic are in a 3v2. Netherform Detonator onto Palmatoro to try and take him out. Look at the dive, look at the kills coming out here from Fnatic. They're looking for an ace of their own, and they get it. It's clean as well. Somehow Palmatoro survives, and Fnatic somehow turn around that fight.
Palmatoro living on the edge there. Minimal amount of health, able to come through on the end as Techno JJ with the damage, helping secure Cavalifar when he got locked up by that Yummy Catnip Frenzy. Again, we have to see that ability get blocked. If you get locked up for 2.5 seconds while you have a Kestrel raining those arrows into your face, it's not going to work out well for you at any given time. That's a Kraken now for Fnatic. Techno JJ was able to rotate into the lane, did take that second turret down, which was already quite wounded from his last interaction with it. And now Fnatic looking to come up into the lane here. It is level 12 for Techno JJ and Palmatoro. Netulet sitting down here at level 9. But we have infusions on all 3 members, which is going to give Catherine a little bit of additional cooldown that Hegman on this Lance just does not have.
Kvalarvar still doing so much work. Techno JJ gets the active camo, and once again, Hegman's dead before he even uses his fountain. Palmatoro gets the fountain out, jumps back onto Kvalarvar, trying to take down his former teammate, the stun lock, but eventually he falls. Now it's Techno JJ and Netulet versus the 2 carries of SK. Tyras and Kvalarvar trying to turn this one around. They get the kill. It's only Netulet, only the captain left alive. He'll have to run for the hills. Tyras with the chase should be able to take him down, trying to kite him over the scout traps. Turns it back around. Netulet, you absolute beauty, gets the kill with the help of a scout trap, and he can actually push in with this crack in just a bit. Kvalarvar should be able to take it down relatively quickly with the pestle, but I'm sure Netulet will try and clear out as many of these scouts as possible.
Absolutely, but that play coming out of SK likely saved them the game. It did bait out a lot of time out of the side of Fnatic. Tyras eventually chases a little bit too far, and as you mentioned, gets stunned up on that scout trap, taking his life. But they protect their 2 Vayne crystal turrets, and that is SK holding on to this game as much as they can. They still have the kill lead, but these last 2 fights have looked... the second to last fight was barely Fnatic scraping by, and then obviously that last fight particularly was a very even one as well. And Kvalarvar now completing this Tyrant's monocle is going to have quite an absurd amount of damage as he's caught up in his build with Techno JJ. But he also has the Aegis complete. Techno JJ does not. It's actually still about 600 gold shy of completing that item. And Tyras as well has that Metal Jacket complete and that Aegis, so he has quite a bit of defense built as well. And now SK looking for a caught out Kachka.
Yeah, Palmatoro dies before he can even get to his team. The stunlock is going to come down. Techno JJ trying to do what he can, but look at the crit. Almost dead to that final one. 553 damage. Tyrus chases in with a Netherform Detonator. It's a double kill for him. And they'll lock up Netulet as well. SK with a triple kill. Great play by them. Great catch. And they'll get this turret as well.
Yeah, they'll get this turret as well, and it was just a little bit of an unfortunate situation for Fnatic. Palmatoro got caught out a little bit in the jungle there. He didn't have any minions to pounce to. He didn't have anything that he could damage to get that natural speed boost. He actually popped the reflex block looking for blocking up that impale, which he did so gracefully. But off the back of that ace, I think SK just close out this series as a 2-1 victory. Now sitting up at 32 points and moving on to day number 2.
Yeah, SK clean sweeping Fnatic there at the end, 2-0. Some great games by them, waited for their spikes, waited for the late game, were able to play around it incredibly well, and some incredibly close team fights as well. Basically slivers of HP that we saw these guys surviving.